So this is called I Quit My Warehouse Job of 12 Years. Hard Work Gets You Nowhere. It's by Redleg Piper if you want to follow the creator. Let's go ahead and get into it.
So the quick answer as to how I left my warehouse distribution center job is, for the last couple years before I put my 2 weeks in, I planned my escape behind the scenes really quietly without anybody knowing. I got my home right, my finances right, got all my debt paid off, stacked a lot of money, and had something on the side prepared before I put my 2 weeks in. And nobody knew. I didn't tell a single soul until HR.
So I literally did the same thing. I stacked up a whole bunch of money and I did not tell anybody. That's a great thing that he said that, because I didn't tell anybody, because I knew the more people that I was going to tell when I was actually leaving my 9-to-5, the more people would try to stop me and try to discourage me. So I'm glad he said that.
2 weeks before I quit. I was at my warehouse distribution center job for almost 12 years.
Dang, it's a long time.
Started in 2010. And well, at that time, that was a pretty good job. It was a good work environment, even though I was still loading trailers. What I was doing was I was in shipping department my entire 12 years. Loading trailers full of product to be sent out to stores. Well, about year 6 into it, I ended up staying in shipping, but I put in a driving position to get on a forklift in a reach trailer or reach truck. So my last 6 remaining years with the company, I was a forklift operator in shipping department. Again, you know, it was okay about year 6, but I started to see a heavy decline when management started changing, when HR started changing, and the company got bought out by another company. Now,
what's crazy is because anytime you're at a job and a 9-to-5 and new management comes in, it's either for 2 reasons: because the previous management is not doing their job, or the building's going in another direction. When I was at my job at Amazon, my high-paying job at Amazon, the building wasn't doing good. So I was coming in as all management was getting shifted out, and it was weird. But anytime somebody new comes into a facility or comes into a building, that's going to come with a whole bunch of changes that they want to make on you, right? And I've always said this too, like as men, we're used to a certain cadence, we're used to a certain format, we're used to a certain schedule. So when people come in and they try to change things up, it's hard for us sometimes.
The job was still secured, more or less, regardless. This company has been around since the early 1900s. So it's not going anywhere anytime soon. I quickly realized that the new management didn't give a shit about the team members and didn't give a shit about, you know, anything about kissing to corporate, which, I mean, that's should be relatively common sense about any job, right? But it's kind of, you know, not easy to wrap your head around when this job you've had for so long was a good job, right? It was a good job. It's not like I was going into a shitty job to begin with, where it was a toxic work environment. For half my time there, it was a good job. And then slowly but surely, management crept in and started allowing really bad team members to get away with a bunch of shit.
Get away with stuff. Yep.
Now,
how it works.
I'm all for hard work. I'm all for downtime as well. You know, when you get your job done, you got a little bit of downtime. I'm cool with that. You know, I used to do the same thing. But the job always had to get done. And the unfortunate thing about it is that the new management that crept into this warehouse, into this distribution center, was so toxic that they would allow the lazy people to sit around on pallets, go for half-hour bathroom breaks, take longer regular breaks, just disappear off the floor. You know, they formed their own little clique. And I saw that coming a mile away, and I didn't like it.
Like, why does this sound exactly like Amazon? It's crazy. The thing was, there was so many people working in the facility that it was hard to keep tabs, or not keep tabs, but it was hard to keep up with every single person. So you had to have multiple managers on site. And a lot of times these managers would come in and they would form, you know, good working relationships with the employees. But when that happened, they were letting a lot of people get away with a lot of stuff. And then the rules weren't fair to everybody. So slowly but surely, something that was decent, that was working its way up to a higher performance level, started to drop down in performance because people were feeling like they were being used. And then the harder that you worked, the more the people that weren't doing anything, they just had to sit around and be lazy because your hard work was making up for the things that they weren't doing.
In fact, they wanted me, among a couple other hard-working individuals in the department, to take on the bulk of the work. And for a while there, I was stupid. And I did. And I found real quick that I'm doing more work for the same amount of pay. I'm doing their work while they're slacking off and doing nothing while I'm getting paid the same amount of pay. No promotion, no extra money, no this or that. The company started slowly going downhill. No incentives to come into work, no incentives for a lot of things. And I'm probably preaching to the choir with probably 99% of jobs out there.
Absolutely.
And hold on, I'm not just, okay, I'm going somewhere with this about how I got out of it and why I think you should too. The company, the management got so bad from top down that my wife actually worked there too for almost 20 years. She got me in.
That's
she worked
hard.
there for 20 years.
Work with your spouse, that's hard.
I was there for 12. She was there for 20. And she even saw it because she put in to be a manager. Now, like I said, she doesn't have any, you know, no bad attendance, no write-ups, no nothing. Squeaky clean, you know, history with the company for 20 years. I had squeaky clean attendance.
And how many of us know that none of that matters, right? It don't matter your attendance. It doesn't matter your write-ups. None of that stuff matters because if management wants to put you in a higher position because they like you, they're going to put you in a higher position, period. Like, none of that stuff matters. They're going to give it to the person that you're like, how did they even get that position? Like, how did they get that promotion? Like, it makes no sense, right? Because there's some internal connection there or some recommendation that's there.
Across the board, and no strikes on me, no write-ups or nothing. You know, I was a hard worker, I thought, and she was a hard worker. We got stuff done. And, you know, and it's just unfortunate that the management, even though my wife wanted to become a manager at one point, they were promoting the wrong people. And so she put in for manager 3 times. 3 times she put in for manager. And they denied her every time. Hoochie running equipment off the dock and doing all these, just tons of that they don't even know what they're doing. But somebody who dedicated 20 years to your company with a squeaky clean record, who's been in all the other departments, every other department, she knew the work of every other department. You turned her down 3 times, and you hire the hookers of the company, or you promote the hookers of the company.
Ooh.
What a slap in the face, man. What a slap in the face. Not only that, but, you know, I got tired of being used. I got so tired of being used for what? For no incentive whatsoever other than to work more harder, catch other people's red lights. It was like red light district dumping that. For some of y'all who don't know what red light means, is that the conveyor belts have so much product on them.
So the packages, specifically when we were at Amazon, there was a belt. And when the packages come down, they're supposed to go down a belt. And then it hits this sensor when it goes down to the continuous belt that goes to the people that are picking up the packages and they're scanning. So when too many packages get stuck over the sensor for a certain amount of time, it triggers a red light that everybody has to push down. So I'm not sure if he was working at Amazon, but that's pretty much how it was when we were at Amazon. So it's the same similar type of system.
That it's getting backed up. That I ended up having to go up to these red lights because other lazy motherfuckers aren't doing their job, and the lane exploded and boxes are falling off the line. and I'm trying to go in there and fix their, taking on the responsibility of the managers and some of their work to get their workload to, you know, some of their workload off their back, so their managers and their IOs aren't jumping down their back. In the meantime, half those are standing at their computer, ain't doing, walking around, not helping, sitting in their office, making themselves look busy.
Sounds about right.
And like I said, it's not like tiered. I mean, the next level up would have been, because you got team members, and that's it. Team members, managers, and above them were IOs, inbound, outbound, management, and then maintenance. And then obviously you got corporate like that. But if you're just a bottom of the barrel team member, y'all get paid the same. It don't matter if you've been there 2 years or 20 years. Yep. Y'all's getting paid the same. And I dedicated 12 years to this company, man. 12 years. My wife put in 20 years.
It's crazy.
For what? For what? These companies don't give a shit. You could die tomorrow and they'll have a moment of silence over their PA if you're lucky. If you were on their side, on their good side, no matter how long you were there, you'll get maybe a minute of silence, and then they replace you the same day.
So let's address that. That's very controversial because I seen it both ways. But a lot of times from my experience working at these companies, or when I did work at that company, if somebody would get fired or somebody would leave or somebody was sick and they were like the most beloved person there, literally as soon as that person walked away, everybody would be dogging them out or talking bad about that person. Every single person, no matter how long they were there, how good they were to people, how much they helped or changed things or broke records or whatever it was. It was just dirty. Like you couldn't trust these people that were in corporate. You couldn't trust these high-level managers because it was all about making their self look good. So everybody was literally talking about everybody else. I remember one time a manager had an anxiety attack and they had a panic attack because they were dealing with some stressful things from their parents. And they were like, oh, yeah, you can take time off and all this other stuff. And when I tell you another grown man looking at another grown man saying, hey, like everything's okay. Take your time off. Everything's going to be fine. As soon as that person walked away, they're like, man, that dude is a little this, or he's a little that, or he's so soft. He's not fit for this position, or he shouldn't even be working here. I don't even know how he got that position. And once I saw that, like they don't care at all. Like they don't care about how long you've been there. They don't care who you are, what you've done. It's always the next person up. That's how these cutthroat businesses work. They really don't care about you, right? Because as soon as you get in any type of trouble or you're behind or anything, is how can we write you up and how can we replace you? Because that's all we care about. We don't care about you as a person. We just care about what you're doing for us. That's it.
There's no incentive to work at these warehouse jobs anymore. And it's not just because of the lazy people that they're bringing in. And this is true. I've seen it across the board at this job, at this warehouse for 12 years. And my wife's seen it for 20 years. They bring in the lazy people, and all they do is sit around on their phones, talking around, not getting the job done. And this isn't just Gen Z. This is millennials, Gen Xers, baby boomers. They're all not working. None of them are working. And you got maybe 10% of the workforce in there is doing 90% of the work for the same pay. I took on a lot of the roles of management, doing startup meetings.
That's Amazon. It's got to be Amazon. That's got to be Amazon.
But like I said, my mind wasn't right because it was a good job for the first few years. It was worth going into back in 2010. And then it just changed with management. And it starts at the top. People want to say, management want to say, well, if we could only get good workers in,
No.
That's like 50% of the freaking problem, man.
No.
Half the problem, if not more the problem, is them, the management.
It's always from the top down.
They're the reason why people don't want to work for them.
Correct.
Because they don't hold others accountable, and they sure as hell don't hold that same standard and hold themselves accountable. They don't want to get in there and help you out.
I remember being an operations manager at Amazon, and I was always told, like, you let people slide too much. You're too nice. You do this. You're too this. You're too that all the time. Why don't you write them up? Why don't you do this? One thing that I was taught in business is you never scold people or put people down or correct them in front of everybody else. It's always private conversations, right? As a man, that's what you're supposed to do. Pull somebody to the side, have that conversation with them, address it, and then it's done. These managers will be trying to address, write people up, get people in trouble in front of everybody to kind of like, I would say, show their authority. And then the people that were working for them or that they addressed wouldn't want to work for them at all. So here I come. I will let them do whatever they did. I would talk to them like, hey, we're going to have another private conversation after the shift is over. Whether it was writing them up, having critical conversation with them, whatever it was. And then a lot of times that issue would get fixed. And they wouldn't want to work with me because they was like, dang, like you didn't do it in front of everybody. Like you did it the right way, but you actually told me what I was doing wrong. And then you told me the solutions for me to fix it. You just didn't say, stop doing that. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. Right? There's a difference in how you're supposed to manage. That's why every time I worked, there was hundreds of people that always wanted to stay and work with me, no matter if we had to flex the shift up or flex it down. I couldn't say the same amount for other managers that were there. They would say that, but nobody would want to work for them. They didn't break any records like me and my team. They didn't hit a whole bunch of goals, right? So 100%, it's always the management from top down. It's always that way. You can always try to throw it on the workers and people that work there, but it doesn't start there. It starts with the management and it starts with the standards. People don't want to work these 9-to-5 jobs anymore because it's true. No matter how hard you work, you're only a number. You are only a number and you can be replaced. I just saw somewhere on Amazon laid off a whole bunch of people in the past couple of months is because they're bringing in all these robots to do all this work. It's a shame, man. Things are not the way they were anymore. Right? So I literally pray for anybody that's at a 9-to-5 and they actually feel like this because this is tough, man. It's tough. Like you're getting used or you feel like you're getting used just for the numbers. You feel like management is not fair, right? They have their favorites. They play favoritism. Like, I understand and realize all of that. Like, I've been in all of that before. And it's tough, man. It's very, 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 very hard. Very, very hard to deal with that.
I'm not saying all of them. There was a few managers in that company over the 12 years. I can count on probably one or two hands out of hundreds, though. 10% were worth a damn. And those 10% of those managers that were worth a damn
probably left.
Were overworked themselves, and their hands were tied. And there was they couldn't do.
Always.
But the other 90%, the vast majority of management in these warehouse jobs, they're fucking worthless, man. They're pulling them off the street with a degree instead of hiring within with people who have experience and know the building, know the system, know the departments. You know, and I'm not just jaded because my wife didn't get it 3 times.
So one of the reasons I heard why they do stuff like that is instead of hiring within, they bring from the outside because it's a culture type thing. Like if you see one person get promoted from the inside and go all the way up, then you feel like you can do the same thing too as well. Then it brings up the whole bunch of conflict when you try to get promoted and you don't have the necessary skills or you're not as qualified enough. You're going to use the time constraint. Well, I've been here this certain amount of time. Instead of them trying to train you up to know what exactly you're supposed to do or to have them skills, they'd rather bring you in from the outside and bring you in. So they don't have to deal with that drama and dilemma and all that other stuff. And certain companies even get bonuses on the back end when you bring in new people instead of hiring them from within. It's crazy that they would even do that.
I am a little bit. You know who you are if you're watching. But it's just hire within, like promote within, man. Instead of pulling people who have a degree. Your degree, man. Just because you have a degree don't mean you know how to do operations in a building.
Very true.
There's team members that know how to do operations more than some of these managers. It's ridiculous. It's not worth it anymore. It's not worth going into these warehouse distribution jobs where you're treated like dog, and then you might be the 1% that's working hard. The other 90% are dog too. They don't want to work. They want to sit around. They want to do the least amount of work as possible and get paid the most as possible.
Absolutely.
For as long as possible.
Absolutely.
That's why you need to not quit. I'm not saying to quit. Don't quit, because right now you need a job. I'm saying use your warehouse job as a stepping stool to quiet quit. To get yourself in a place to where you can walk out and work at any job you want, like I did. And be happy doing a job you enjoy, even if it's less money, to where at any point in time, you can say, you know what, I don't like this job. I don't need you. You might need me, but I don't need you. Because I've been retired for the last 2 years, and I made a video about how I'm trying to search for purpose. Like I had financially everything in order. I had all my ducks in order to quit this job of 12 years. And the reason why I didn't quit right away is because I have kids. I needed to make sure that I had a plan in place. And it took me 5 years of the 12 years to plan to get out from my escape. And I'm here to tell you, you can do the same thing. Plan your escape. Don't quit. Plan your escape. Because these people, these warehouse jobs, these management, they don't give a shit. They don't care.
I was at Amazon almost 6 years, right? 5, almost 6. And it's funny, like, I went from level 1 all the way to level 6, operations manager. I did have a degree, but I definitely worked my way all the way up. Long hours, hard work, extra shifts, doing all these different types of things. At the time, I just lost my business, so I had to have an additional income. And I ended up starting to work there, and I liked it. But as things started to go on and my income started to go higher, I started to see some of the practices of the actual company. I started to see some of the practices of some of the managers there, like how they would talk about other people behind their back, how they would do certain things to make other managers look bad compared to them, team members, favoritism, all these other things. And it wasn't the right environment. But then also, once you get to a certain level and you start doing certain things, if your heart is not specifically in it, like he said, you're not going to have a purpose. You're just going to be going through the motions, and it's going to be like you're involved with something that you don't care anything about. And when you don't care about it, you don't put your all into it, which means you're not going to get your best performance. So about 2 years before I stepped away, I started a game plan. I started putting extra money in the bank. I started saving up. I started thinking about how I can get to the city or state that I wanted to be in before that happened, if I had the transfer. And I just left. And it's funny because everybody that was there that was saying that they're going to be at Amazon forever, they ended up leaving before me, or they ended up leaving after I left too. There is nobody there that started when I started in that management level. So I think this was a phenomenal video. If you're a man or a woman and you're at a 9 to 5 and you feel like they don't care about you, you feel like you're just a number, hard work is not going to get you far. Not that alone. If you don't want to be there, you definitely have to plan your escape. Put some money aside. Cut down extra bills and expenses so you can save that additional money. If you have to pay off some debt, go ahead and use that. Take out some stocks. Take out a little bit of 401k. Like if you read all the details and know what you're getting yourself into. But if you got some money saved up and you can leave to find something that gives you more purpose, even if it's less money, do that, man. Do that. Because it is truly hard to find a 9 to 5 that really cares about you and cares about you as a person. Plan your quiet escape. I think this was great. S.O.C. University, Adam Duty. Subscribe to the page. Like the channel, turn on the bell notification. I'm out.